Today's episode brought to you by Horror Movie Shoes. Always on the run? Tired of falling down at the most critical point in your day? Stumbling and tripping all over yourself is now a thing of the past with Horror Movie Shoes. These kicks are stabilized with the special cold fusion-powered gyroscopes that keep you upright even when suffering from multiple stab wounds. And talk about fast! Thanks to patent-pending, speedy technology, you no longer sit and spin your wheels when faced with an overwhelming presence. Find Horror Movie Shoes at any fine establishment that sells shoes today. Horror Movie Shoes. Don't get caught with them, because you'll definitely be caught without them. Also, our show today brought to you by I Like Comics in Vancouver, Washington. Sign up for a free subscription box today and receive 20% off any titles that you sign up for. And get this. No minimum amount of titles to sign up for, so you can just get one. Tons of comics, new and old, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, statues, collectibles, action figures, t-shirts. You name it, this place has it if it has to do with comics. Check them out online at ilikecomicsonline.com. Hello, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your schlubby hosts each week are Bryce Hanson, the cool collected nihilist, and David Day, a cool guy who's always cool. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm David Day.
I'm Bryce Hanson.
And you guys can check us out at horrormovietalk.com. Check us out also on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We also have an audience survey. You're going to hear us say this in the show kind of a little bit here and there for the next couple months. So we're taking a survey of our listeners, and we'd like you to participate. It will help us learn more about you, no matter how long you've been a listener or how frequently you listen to this show. So please just take a few minutes, visit our website at horrormovietalk.com. You'll find the listener survey link right on the main page. Right on the navigation bar on the website. It's also in the sidebar of the episode posts. And you can complete the survey anonymously. So thank you very much for doing that in advance, which I'm sure everyone will. I'm certain of it. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so check us out. This week, we're posting an additional bonus episode where you get to learn more about my taste, Bryce's taste for horror movies, kind of what got us started, what we like. So subscribe to us and look for us every Wednesday. Leave a review of the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere that you listen to us, and we'd be greatly appreciative of that. I've been seeing some more reviews lately, and I like it. So
yeah, thank you for leaving reviews if you have.
Yeah. So today we're going to be reviewing Halloween the original from 1978. Bryce and I went last night, which was Friday night, to the Kiggins Theater in downtown Vancouver, where they were screening a one-time only showing of the original Halloween. And it was great.
Yeah, we plugged it on our last show. So we reviewed Halloween 2018, sorry. What year is it? The most recent Halloween movie last week, and this week they just so happened to have this screening of the original, and so we jumped on it.
Yeah, Halloween back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's a unique experience seeing the new one first before even seeing the original. It gives a unique perspective for me.
Yeah, it does. And like the ambiance in that theater was great. Like there's so many people who were just so psyched to, like, there was a lot of people there. Like I was surprised at how full it was. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect it to be that popular. It was definitely over half full.
Yeah.
And Kiggins is just a small, tiny Main Street theater in...
It's got one big screen with a decent sized...
Yeah, it was built in like 1930-something, 1936 or something, Art Deco style. It's a really cool old theater, and it's fun to go to, but it's just one of those community theaters that no one really gets excited about just because it's there.
It's been there for so long that you kind of walk by it, but
right.
But
and
man,
there's like a Regal Cinema about like 2 blocks away. that
Yeah,
show
that's
first run
got to be
stuff.
tough. That's got to be tough to be competing with that. And quite frankly, it was a really fun experience, and
Yeah.
I'll be going back. I used to go there a lot during the summer, but I had a kid lately, so that kind of slowed down a little bit. Anyway, we start out the review by giving our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not that hard to figure out how that works. 1 is terrible, 10 is great, 5 is average, just totally average,
Middle of the road.
middle of the road. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers, and we'll take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later in this episode, we will be doing taglines, where we make up new or different or funny taglines for the movie that we're reviewing.
We try to be funny, but we don't want to say we're trying to be funny in case they're not.
We do try
We do try.
to varying degrees.
Yeah. You'll see. Just stick around. You'll see.
And then we'll also be doing horror movie news. Thanks again for listening, and let's get into the show. So, like I said, we went to see Halloween, the original, in a movie theater, and it was fun and quaint and earnest in the way that a well-made early slasher, or kind of, in the way that a well-made early slasher is. This is the standard for slashers for a reason. So let's play that trailer.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween. Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael? Halloween.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
So, the original Halloween can be found.
Uncharted territory.
The original Halloween can be found for rent on Amazon for, I think, $4, and on Shudder for free if you're a subscriber to Shudder. And you might as well just, if you want to watch Halloween, you might as well just subscribe to Shudder because I think
It's $5 if you pay monthly.
I think it's $5 if you pay monthly, and if you sign up for like a span, it's like $3.
Yeah.
For some period of time. Halloween is a story about Michael Myers. He's just a misunderstood kid, who happens to stand for the existential meaning of fate, and who kills his sister in cold blood as like a 6-year-old-ish kid, maybe like 7 or 8. He has a 15-year stay in a mental hospital, and he eventually escapes to wreak havoc on his hometown while in his prime year, the prime time of his life. My score of this movie, and I'm trying to ignore the ambiance of that charming theater, and my dislike for slashers, which doesn't really seem to apply to this movie. My score is 8 out of 10. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think I'd agree, actually. I was thinking about going 7, but I think it's an 8.
Yeah.
Just in how effective it is setting up the character. It's a little slow for me.
It's slow.
There's lots of empty space that is used to build dread. And I think at the time it was probably much more effective than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
We know what a slasher is and the timing
Yeah.
of a slasher.
Yeah.
You can go a lot quicker.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I'd give it an 8. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, man, by the way, the word slasher, I'm so mealy-mouthed on that word.
I know. There's so many words in this podcast.
Horror. Slasher.
Is he saying horror or whore?
Horror?
Could be either one.
He's horror.
Horror.
Hey,
Horror.
check out this horror. You like that? Yeah, you like that. So, frankly, I like this more than the most recent 2018 version of it, personally. When we got home last night, you kind of juxtaposed them in an interesting way, which was you directly compared them. Mm-hmm. And go ahead and what's your thoughts on the direct comparison between the two, the new one and the original?
I think if you compare a movie from 4 decades ago and just say, as a movie, which is more entertaining,
yeah,
the more recent one is so much slicker and is able to like convey the same themes in a much more entertaining way, despite like all the history of slashers since then.
Yeah,
that it's still very effective. Like that's very impressive to me, and so I would say like I think it's better from the experience of not seeing the first one. And I'm not like one of those guys that says like, oh, I don't want to watch a black and white movie.
Right.
That's not how life is.
No,
I understand what technology existed back then and what they could do, but just even in terms of storytelling, it was more interesting.
There's definitely something to be said, primarily in this case, for the pacing. Like, and all older, if you're looking at a 40, 50, 60-year-old movie now, the pacing is just much slower. And if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, you've been fully immersed in these movies that are edited to be quick in every sense of the word. In fact, it bothers people who grew up in the 50s and 60s. Sometimes I've talked to people who are like, I can't stand how much they cut around. Like they cut from one close-up of someone's face to another close-up of someone else's face, and it's just distracting.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten pretty bad even for me lately with some of these action movies like this. A lot of the Bourne movies, it's just like, oh my gosh, you can't tell what's going on at all. And it's just shaky cam all the time. But I think like the one cultural phenomenon that deserves the most blame for that, or was the most influential, was MTV.
Yeah.
Just music videos, quick cuts, and just really in your face. I think that's when it started, like movies being a lot quicker, and conveying information visually, and just trusting the audiences that are going to catch them immediately. As opposed to dwelling on it. I think of Hitchcock movies where he really is laying out the story visually, and he has to really slowly gloss over things, and it's effective. It's great storytelling. It's a great way to tell, the background of the characters and stuff without having them say,
but damn, is it slow?
But you're this kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You.
But you're this kind of guy accomplishes literally 5 minutes of exposition sometimes.
Right.
Like therefore it is just used because it's efficient. And while it is corny and bad, it's also efficient and fast. So there's something to be said for both.
I was just reading the beats to hit. Beat one.
Yeah, let's transition into the spoilers.
Oh, shit. Spoilers.
Shit. Oh God. So I have some good news so here's one spoiler. I've been participating in Sober October this October, and never in my life have I wanted to drink more. Woo, home stretch, baby.
Me, I don't drink, so it means nothing to me to go to a bar.
And it's strange.
And just sit and drink Coke.
It's strange because I'll go through these phases where I'm like, I won't drink for like a couple months, and it won't even occur to me. I won't even think about it. But in September, I was like, oh baby, it is on. And so then I heard about Sober October on Joe Rogan podcast, and so I was like, You know, I the fact that I like drinking so much right now probably could do with let's do this sober October thing, and it's been good because
it's been painful.
Because it's been painful, right? Exactly. Anyway, so the Halloween starts out with a great scene, and I'm pretty sure it's probably a pretty historic scene because it starts out with Mike Myers. It's like Mike Myers' vision, right?
Yeah.
It's like intended to be shot from his point of view or from his eyes as a 8-year-old kid.
Well, yeah, that it's not revealed that he's a kid until the very end of the scene, too.
Right.
It's a good old switcheroo.
Right, exactly. And so he starts out watching his sister and her boyfriend make out on their couch. But of course, at this point, we don't know. We just think this is a peeping Tom watching some lovebirds. And then he watches them make out. They decide to go upstairs. He wanders through the kitchen, grabs a knife on his way in. And by the way, the largest damn knife I've ever seen, and
Yeah.
and I've seen what's that Australian movie, Crocodile Dundee. I've seen that movie, and this knife is substantially bigger than that.
Yeah, that's like the largest chef's knife that you could possibly buy, and it seems like every family in Hallowbrook, is that what the town is called?
Hollandfield.
Hallafield.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
This is embarrassing.
Everyone in that little small town America has their
largest-
own 15-inch chef knife just in case you need
Swords.
to cut like the world's largest watermelon or something.
Can you fetch my chef's sword from the drawer, please? Shing.
I think at a certain length it should be required that there's a scabbard for chef's knives.
I agree. So he grabs a knife. He watches his sister's boyfriend walk down the stairs after like 60 seconds of doing it. And he's like, yeah, I'll call you later. And she's like, what? Wait, but hey, kid. And he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
It was so subtle. I wonder if it was intentional because she didn't have any reaction really. He was just like, I gotta go. And so anyway, so Mike remains hidden kind of in the shadows as the boyfriend walks out. He walks up the stairs, grabs a little clown mask on his way into his sister's room. She's sitting there topless in her mirror, like brushing her hair. And she turns around. She's like, Michael? Like, oh my goodness. And she's covering herself up. And then you guys don't get to enjoy the reenactment of David covering his boobs.
Oh, and
I don't know why she's flirting with her brother.
Oh, Michael. Well, I do. Her boyfriend just left.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she turns around. She covers her boobs. Michael's like, what's up? And then he stabs her a bunch and kills her.
This kills the sister.
This kills the sister. This kills the Myers sister. And then we have the reveal shot, which is Mike outside in front of the house with a knife and a camera, like kind of you get a little bit of a drone shot moving up and away from Michael as his parents come home from their evening out on Halloween to find Michael standing in the yard with a gigantic sword covered in blood. And they're like, Michael? And then it's kind of a freeze frame. And then we go into the most like... the most epic credits ever. Like those credits made me feel all. You know how people who love Christmas feel when like Jingle Bells comes on at Kohl's or whatever. Like that's how these credits make me feel. I'm like, kind of warm inside. Like, oh, it's Halloween time. Very iconic credits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goofy little pumpkin. I remade that pumpkin for my pumpkin sitting outside my house. So then after that, we have Mike as and by the way, these spoilers, not really spoilers if you're familiar with, if you've seen
the movie, they're not a spoiler.
Number one, obviously, if you've seen the movie, but I'm just saying, this is the slasher movie that got copied by every other slasher movie.
There's really not that much to spoil in a slasher movie.
He kills people.
People get stabbed.
Right.
Pretty much everyone that you would expect.
Well,
and then maybe one or two people that you don't.
You would think that after he kills his sister, he goes away to a mental institution, and then that's that. That's the end of the movie. He
Yeah.
killed his sister. It's done.
It's just him. The rest of the movie is just him staring at a wall.
Right. He's not gonna escape, right? On a
But
dark.
that's what makes this such a revolutionary movie.
Right.
He does other things.
He does other things other than stare at a wall. So, yeah. So he on a dark and stormy night, we cut to Dr. Loomis, and the movie proclaims in subtitles that it's 15 years later. It's Halloween. It's almost Halloween, the day before Halloween, and Dr. Loomis is driving to the mental institution, which is what it was called at the time. Don't give me guff. But he's heading to the mental institution. It's a dark and stormy night. As they're approaching the place, he's like talking to the nurse, like kind of like building Michael up, how he's this inhuman, just monster.
Just a personification of evil.
Yeah, the personification, exactly. And as they like approach the gate, like you get the creepiest shot of just a bunch of people wandering around in the foggy, weird, rainy middle distance in white costumes in the middle of nowhere, and they're just escaped mental patients.
Mental patients.
That's a disturbing thought, right?
Right.
You pull up to a mental institution, and then
There's
you're
just
like,
a bunch of patients grazing in the field,
bunch of people out here at the middle of the night.
just
Boy, they're
aimlessly wandering.
They're just wearing white shirts. Do you suppose they're all together? Or, they escaped from the mental institution. Anyway, so Loomis gets out of the car. He's like, I got to see what's going on here. At which point, Michael makes his move. He makes a run for the car, jumps up on it, gets all spidery, breaks a window, gets in, scares off Nurse Ratched, and drives away. And then Michael makes his escape. He was all flubbery on top of that car, kind of like wiggling around, all funky. And he wasn't aggressive towards either of them, really. He's just like, he had to get in the car. I was expecting a little bit more violence, but I just couldn't remember what happened. And then, now the action is done for a long, long time. Now we begin the building experience that we were talking about. This is the pacing problem, quote unquote problem with this movie, is now they just kind of do a bunch of talking and setting up and long shots looking at the house across the street, thinking about the house across the street, wondering who's at the house across the street, looking back at the house across the street, thinking about it some more, talking about it, wondering about the boogeyman, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of shots of, look at this frame right now. Nothing's in it. Next time we're in it, there's Michael. Dwell on it for a second, and then go back to a reaction, and then go back and Michael's gone. That's literally about 50% of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's maybe more. Like, yeah.
It's not even, I mean, this isn't even like Michael pursuing. It's just Michael watching
Yeah.
and being a creep.
Yeah, standing like with one eye out of
There
a
was
door
one.
frame.
There's one thing that this movie did great, and it's probably one of the reasons why it's so legendary, is that they literally did not show the mask for the first half of the movie. Practically, it was just, over his shoulder or something, and it was in the distance. Anytime you could see the mask in the first half of the movie, it was blurry or way in the distance where it just looked like kind of a featureless face.
Yeah.
And that was super effective just because it just represents a presence better than just a guy in a mask.
Yes.
It wasn't much about like the reverence towards the mask or the symbolism of the mask. Like the mask is not important.
Right.
What was important was there was a presence,
A disturbing
that
figure.
you could not distinguish the features or motives of.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'd never thought about that. And I've been trying to put myself in the shoes of an audience member who went to see this for the first time in like 1978.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which is to say, you have no preconceived notion of Mike Myers at all.
Right.
You not only that, if you're lucky, you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Hills Have Eyes, something similar to this, but probably you have not.
Mm-hmm.
Probably you haven't, because this is a new genre, and this is the installment that really solidifies the mold of the slasher. So this is the first time anybody's really ever seen this, and all they really get, they don't get to see a close-up of the mask or anything, like you said. They see just a silhouette, and it's weird, and it's disturbing, and you're like, oh, is that someone's face?
It's usually in the darkness.
Right.
And it's like, it's just in shadow, and it's just enough for you to understand that it's the features of a human face, but nothing else, that, like, no expression that you can...
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah, and you're not sure. Is that, like, you can pretty much tell that it's a mask, but it's not blatantly clear.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So it works really well in the way that they presented it and didn't they held back on it. So we kind of get to learn a little bit about Laurie, and the three main characters really in this movie are Laurie, which is
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Thanks. I was up until 2 last night writing. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie, Loomis, the doctor, and Mike Myers. Essentially, that's the triangle of people that you really see and hear from the most. And Laurie's kind of she's not very good with boys. She's in high school. She does a lot of babysitting, and
yeah, she's the archetypal virgin.
You're right.
Slasher virgin.
Right. Yeah, and so you really learn a lot about that Laurie's life and her kind of the social structure of her
Can
friends.
I say that Jamie Lee Curtis, just her appearance and her voice even is nearly exactly the same 40 years later? It's pretty
impressive.
She looked like a young 50-year-old 40 years ago, Like it was.
That's one way of putting it.
I mean, she's very attractive.
Yeah.
Like I mean, ever since True Lies, I was, I have a soft spot in my heart for Jamie Lee Curtis.
This is a thing. This is just one of those things that I just don't get, but I acknowledge, but I have just never felt it. Like my dad will be like, "Oh man, Jamie Lee Curtis," and I'll be like, "What, really?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, oh, what? Are you kidding me? Jamie Lee Curtis? Yeah, man. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And then other guys will be like, "Jamie Lee Curtis, the original Scream Queen, am I right?" Like, elbow me. I'm like, okay. I don't find her unattractive by any means.
Right.
I just don't get it. It's
right.
She's
Well,
not my type.
I think one of the things is like it's the girl next door kind of deal because she's not overly sexualized, and she's the least sexualized character in this movie. I think Dr. Loomis is more sexualized than Jamie Lee Curtis was in this movie.
A bold statement, but probably true.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really impressive how she's held up over the years.
Yeah, no,
eating all that Activia probably does wonders.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. Got to keep regular,
Mm-hmm.
and those cultures very important.
Probiotics.
Yeah, no, she and I think this was maybe her first acting gig. I'm don't quote me on that.
To introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, this was her first acting gig, and I read something that said that after her first day of shooting, so this was a really low budget movie. They had like $300,000 to work with. And
3 week long.
Yeah, and they had a 3 week long shoot, and because of the low budget, they decided to focus on just a single day, a 24-hour period essentially. Anyway, so first day of shooting, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, she's crying and she's upset. She feels like she gave a bad performance, and she got a call from John Carpenter, and there's another mealy mouth thing that I'm not. John Carpenter. We
should just do the entire podcast in the voice of Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, she's a great big fat person.
She's a great big fat person. Anyway,
John Carpenter
gives Jamie Lee Curtis a call, and she's like, "Oh no, this is him. I'm just gonna I'm gonna get fired." And instead, he congratulates her on like doing just a great job on her first day. And I gotta say, like, one of the things that impressed me the most about this movie was the acting from every character, even the hot blonde girl who is supposed to be hot and blonde and kind of ditzy, but acting was great. Like it was just solid all the way through, and Jamie Lee Curtis especially,
Yeah.
and Loomis as well. Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Who was Blofeld in the James Bond movies back in the 60s and 70s.
I'll take your word for it because I'm looking at like a bunch of James Bond movies on your DVD thing.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where the three girls were definitely in their mid-20s and cast as teenagers.
Jamie
Like
Lee Curtis was actually a teenager.
Was she?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they looked...
Ironically,
Pretty-
because she looked like she was maybe pushing 50.
Right. So...
Timeless is what they
They
call
were...
that.
Yeah, it was one of those situations in a movie where it's like, yeah, we're teens. Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of do all the things that you would expect kids to do. They smoke pot and they talk about the dance, and they worry about.
Yeah, the acting on it was great, and
Yeah.
the writing around what teenagers would be talking and how they'd be talking was pretty.
Very believable.
Yeah.
And very suburban, very kind of sleepy town, just every day.
And I learned at the theater that originally the original concept was the babysitter killings or something like that, and that comes through. And you're like, oh yeah, all these three girls are babysitters, and it starts out with Mike Myers killing his sister, which was his babysitter.
Yeah.
And you can see how it grew out of that, where it's like, okay, let's do a babysitter killer. And then all of a sudden he creates like a really cool killer that takes over the concept of like, okay, let's just do it on the ultimate evil and inevitable fate of being
Of
confronted
death.
by death.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, thinking about the actual premise, okay, so you're looking to fill theater seats with butts. And you're going to do that by giving them something relatable. What did kids do in 1978? Kids who would go and see this movie babysat for money. That's what they did. If you didn't do it, your girlfriend did it, or your boyfriend did it, whatever. But and you're going to be scared out of your mind. Like this is perfect. This is the perfect premise, because it's like, I do that, and people exist who kill people. And this is fucking horrifying. So yeah, now I'm thinking about like the proof of concept. It's great.
Yeah, the jump scares in this movie were great because, jump scares used to be like actual jump scares, like
Right.
unexpected. What was the one that was super effective? There was like a window in the background, and you're kind of looking at the window or a mirror or something, and all of a sudden, Michael comes from like the side.
Oh no! It was. Well, for me, it was when Loomis takes the sheriff out to the Myers house, the abandoned Myers house, and they're up in Michael's sister's room, and he's like, "This is where Mike killed his sister." And then and they're like looking outside, and then like this gutter comes down and breaks the window right next to Loomis's face.
That's what
It's
it
like,
was.
Good God in heaven, that was fucking.
And it wasn't even like there was no musical cue. It was just a very loud glass breaking sound effect, because he's just like giving exposition and background to the story, and then just randomly the gutter shatters through the window.
It was extremely effective.
Yeah.
I was jumping.
Yeah.
Mid jump. Yeah. Yeah. And
I was jumping and I was scared.
it was just a great jump scare. Yeah, actually that's a good point, and it kind of segues nicely into like the score on this movie, which is number one, iconic. That music, the screeching, the music was used as jump scare
Right.
material. Yeah, which brings us to the Halloween theme, which kind of plays throughout the movie, which was written in a rare 5/4 time signature, which I have an idea of what that means, but I have a feeling you have a better idea, being a bit of a music aficionado.
Yeah, 5/4 is just basically an off-centered beat. So the most common time signatures are 4/4, which is 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, or 3/4 or a 3/8, which would be 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So when you do a 5/4, it's like off-putting because it's like a stutter. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So like, anyways, yeah, it's just a cool time signature.
Yeah, and John Carpenter's father taught it to him, and that's where it came from. Question to the audience: have you seen the first Halloween, and did it leave a meaningful mark on you? Do you remember it fondly, or was it one of those things that really ended up like scarring you in a way that you will never go back and watch it again, no matter how tame I tell you it is? Yeah, so leave a comment on this episode's blog post and let us know. Back to the movie, The Kills. Which one stood out to you the most?
I think the nailing the guy to the wall with the gigantic chef's knife.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. And there's clearly that became his signature. That became his signature move because in the following movies, it's done quite a bit. And in the most recent 2018 Halloween, I think he nails 3 or 4 people up onto a fence.
Well, yeah, it's like it's such a demonstration of power that he can lift a full-grown dude with one hand, choking him.
Who's his size.
And then also stab him so hard that he's pinned to a wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's frightening.
Yeah, it's just it's very alarming. And he's always making, like, they do a good job of making him, like, simultaneously human and inhuman, right? He has this inhuman strength, but he's clearly audibly struggling every time he kills someone. You can hear him, like, grunting and breathing. And, of course, there's, like, just the... Whenever he's close by, it ramps up the tension by having him breathing heavily, and you can kind of like feel his presence nearby just through the audio track. Yeah.
Should I just belch into the microphone?
Yeah,
I should do a drive-by belch, just like.
Yeah. After the dude getting nailed to the wall, I think my other favorite one is his girlfriend, where Michael.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
So that dude and his girlfriend are doing it in a neighbor's house, I think.
Right.
And in an abandoned house at this point. They believe the kids are asleep. No, the kids
they know that the kids are at Jamie Lee
being
Curtis's
watched by
house.
Laurie, and so they're doing it in this house over here. And so he goes downstairs to grab a beer and bring one back to her, and then he gets killed. And then
it's so goofy and so effective. It's great.
I fucking fell in love when this happened. He walks back upstairs. Michael goes upstairs with a sheet over him and wearing the glasses of the boyfriend over the sheet
with the holes cut in the eyes.
And he just stands there, and
he's a spoopy ghost.
And his hot girlfriend's sitting there in bed topless, and she's like, "Oh, real original." And he just stands there, and oh man, that was one of the funniest scenes I think I've ever seen in horror. I laughed out loud for a long time.
And it was held. Like they didn't like have him walk up. I can't remember how that scene ended.
It
but
was
like
held it was held until it stopped being funny and started being minorly uncomfortable, which is a long time because it was funny forever.
And then it became funny again.
Right.
of just him standing there, just standing in a doorway.
Yeah, man.
And then eventually, does he walk over to her in the sheet, or does the sheet come off, or does she approach him? I can't remember.
No, she approaches him, and then he basically starts strangling her.
Right. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
I was looking.
So like the movie is so slow and nothing happens till the end.
Right.
Like well into the third act, basically
Yeah.
nothing really happens. And then like all the action happens at once.
The second act is long.
Yeah. But
Full attention building.
yeah, you you remember the third act. You don't remember looking at houses for 30 minutes.
Fuck you, I do. Woo-wee. I looked at some houses during that movie. Hoo-hoo.
So the ending, like the very last girl that he comes after is Lori, and she fends him off several times and is the most frustrating version of a slasher trope of, he's dead now. No, I don't have to worry about it.
There were like three fake deaths.
Yeah. And she like has the gigantic butcher knife in her hand, and then she just drops it. It's like, meh.
Yeah.
I see no reason not to drop this next to the killer that was trying to kill me 2 seconds ago.
I gotta put this down. This knife is disgusting.
He got stabbed. He got stabbed in the neck with a needle. Like, he's plainly dead now.
Yeah.
Even though there's no blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't check if he was breathing or not.
It definitely created a lot.
Look at his mask. It's lifeless.
Yeah. Surely he's dead now.
Yeah.
This inhuman monster.
So there was a couple of those. Which, I mean, seeing it in a theater full of people is the best way to do that, because the frustration and the bemusement at how tropey it is was audible.
Yeah.
Because people are like,
oh, come on! Come on! What are you doing? Yeah, each time it was just, and one of them was great. She stabs him in the neck with a
crochet needle.
A crochet needle, and he gets fucking stabbed in the neck with this thing,
and then he takes it out and collapses,
and just falls like a sack,
like a rag doll.
Yeah, and it was so funny when he did, because it was exactly, if I got stabbed in the neck with a crochet needle, this is exactly what would happen. I'd get stabbed in the neck with the crochet needle. I'd have a surge of adrenaline, pull it out, and then immediately collapse to the floor and pass out. It would happen exactly like that.
Yeah, and they didn't even try, like, to make it splurt out blood or say, oh, it's because of immediate blood loss or in an artery, or...
It was just,
I don't know.
Sack of potatoes, boom.
It was like if Mike Myers was a zombie and his brain was in his neck.
Right.
That's how he was dispatched.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah. 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 So, and obviously at the end, he takes a revolver full of bullets, and then he's dead, right? Right? Right?
No.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
he walks away.
Right.
I mean,
because-
it's a very iconic shot of him. He fell over the balcony, is on the ground, and then when it comes back, he's not there.
Yeah.
And
The
then,
same thing that's been happening throughout the entire movie. Hey, look, it's Mike. Hey, where'd Mike?
Hayden's, that should be one of my taglines.
What is it?
The deadliest game of hide and seek.
I like that.
And then the movie ends with heavy breathing.
Yeah. So some fun facts about Halloween. I'm not going to read all these. I'll just go over some of them here. Already talked about that one. Oh, I like this one a lot. As the movie was shot in early spring in Southern California, as opposed to Illinois in late October when it was set, the crew had to buy paper leaves from a decorator and then paint them in autumn colors and then scatter them in the filming locations to make it look like autumn. And so, but they didn't have very much money. So to save money, after a scene was filmed, they had to go up and pick up the leaves for use in a later part in the movie, which I thought was hilarious. I would like to make mention of the fact that this was made for $300,000 and
we talked about that.
Oh, and it turned into 70 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of the most successful horror movies ever.
Yeah, behind like Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity and but so final recommendations, really anybody who even vaguely likes horror movies will enjoy this movie. We'll have a good time with friends watching this, I think.
I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend it to everyone. I think it's more for students of horror that just want to have the education of what are the original slasher movies, because you can basically see this movie in 20 other movies by now. If you've seen 5 other slashers, it's not required viewing, but if you want to see one of the original, you should see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
In terms of enjoyment.
That's fair. And but to add to that list, I would say, if you're not a fan of horror, or horror particularly scares you, if you're light of heart, this is a great light entry.
Yeah.
That is serviceable in every way and is a lot of fun and is funny.
And it's a great date movie.
Yeah, it's a good date movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to transition into taglines. Taglines today brought to you by Papa Mom's Pizza. Tired of all those commercial pizza places that are owned by rich white men and put bland traditional toppings on their pizzas? Papa Mom's is the first pizza chain that is owned and operated exclusively by the transgender community, and we know how to do pizza right. Try our phallus-free pizza that incorporates absolutely no ingredients that could ever be mistaken for a ding-dong. Conversely, try our Ab-Fab Phallus Delight that only incorporates ingredients that are tall and stately. Papa Mom's Pizza. If the pizza isn't delicious, at least it will be sexual. Call us at 1-800-PAPA-MOM to receive a condescending talking to today. Here's taglines. Okay, so taglines is a bit where we think up some corny, funny, goofy taglines to go with the movie. So I'll go first. Halloween. The trick is offering him candy. Shut up.
I'm the worst audience for these. Like, I'm like when they describe the showrunner for comedians on talk shows. What else you got?
What else you got? Yeah, thanks. Good. Very good.
That's great. What else you got? Halloween. How do doors even work?
Oh, man, she was struggling with those doors for... Dude, how can you struggle with a door for 45 seconds, honest to God?
Yeah. I mean, on the inside.
On the inside.
Like where the lock is.
Right. Well, there was a rake against that door.
Yeah.
But
against
still,
the glass pane door.
Yeah.
If you're... Yeah, whatever.
Come on. Okay, Halloween. House Watching Simulator, 1978.
I like that one.
Buy it on Steam.
Yeah. Halloween. Attack of the 1 Minute Man.
The 1 Minute Man from...
Yeah, the one boyfriend that...
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta go. I got mine.
Bart, I don't want to alarm you, but there may be a boogeyman or boogeymen in the house.
This one is for referring to Dr. Loomis. Halloween. My doctorate is in waiting.
He does wait a lot.
He just waits at the Myers house for the majority of the movie.
He'll be here any minute. I know Michael. Trust me. He'll be here now.
He was being productive. He was scaring kids.
Yeah. Hey, get out of there. The only treat is metal scraping against bone. Oh, and some boobs.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's get prepared to lose some listeners. Halloween. Barely legal brother penetrates his hot blonde sister.
Yeah, baby. Oh, baby, I can hear them listens going away. So...
It was worth it.
I think so.
It's worth it to amuse ourselves.
I liked it.
If we can't amuse ourselves, then what are we doing this for?
Even the point.
Yeah.
So now let's get into some horror movie news. Google released the most searched horror movie villains by state a day or two ago. And so I dare you...
What's the time frame?
The time? Well, I don't know.
Most searched horror... Is there like a front runner for all states, or are they actually different?
Yeah, so there is a huge... Like, there is the most looked up by a not like a breakaway, but definitely like there's two that are big winners. And guess the most looked up one. You won't.
I'm gonna guess Pennywise.
You are incorrect. Pennywise way down the list. The most
Does it give a time frame for it?
I can't find a time frame for it. I'm sure that obviously there must be a time
Some between 2000 and now.
I don't know. But the most looked up is Norman Bates by a pretty substantial margin. He got
All right.
13 states, lots of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to game the system because it's got to be like a cultural relevant thing. And Norman Bates, it's got to be like attached to the TV show, The Bates Motel.
Yeah. The you want to guess number 2? Who's not far behind number 1, but
Hannibal Lecter.
no. I don't even know. Oh, Hannibal Lecter did make the list. He was like number 6. Number 6 or so. No, the second is Chucky.
Huh.
Yeah, who got like 11. 11 netting 11 states, including California.
Wow.
Yeah, and Texas.
Yeah, that movie series is like a sleeper. They're still, it seems like they still release one every once in a while, and
yeah,
you don't hear about it that much.
Well, and the thing about Child's Play is, I don't think any of them are like necessarily B movies. Like I think they've all been, in terms of budget, I think they've all been big studio.
Yeah. I can't think of any. It feels like none of them are straight to video.
Right, that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
Even they've got like Bride of Chucky or Cult of Chucky. I feel like those went to theaters, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Number 3 is Frankenstein's Monster. Number 4, and the one that tops the list for Washington is Alien, which I'm quite proud of to be included in that list of 5.
Now wait a minute. How do you know that they were searching Alien specifically and not like, you know?
I don't know, man. Maybe they did go by like Alien movie.
Maybe,
but it does not say that. Further down the list, right behind Alien, we got Jack Torrance from The Shining, Count Dracula, basically in a tie with Jack, and then Hannibal Lecter, and then Pinhead, and then Pennywise. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was rather interesting. Okay, so Variety reported that diverse audiences are driving the horror box office boom. They say that horror is on a hot streak for the movie business, and diverse millennials may be to thank for the surge in ticket sales. Well, no shit. Who else would it be? Like, you think a bunch of boomers are like, it is time for horror.
Oh, I don't know. I think it'd be true diversity, because think about the most recent Halloween. There's going to be people that were horror fans back in their 20s.
Yeah,
in the
you're
70s.
not wrong. Yeah, I mean, definitely X for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the alternative? There's not a lot of like alternative movies other than giant franchises. The real like independently spirited studio movies are horror movies. They're the only ones that have like unique stories.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find it in rom-coms.
No, definitely not.
There's like practically no dramas anymore either. Like you find out what dramas are out by waiting for Oscar season and be like, oh, I've never heard of any of these movies. I guess I'll go check them out.
Yeah.
And they all end up being good, but you've
That's
never
true.
heard of them before.
That is true. Yeah. Apparently last year marked the first time that the horror genre grossed over $1 billion at the box office. And this is all from Variety. And if this holiday season is any indication, moviegoers are still willing to shell out pretty decent money for good scares. Quiet Place and The Nun, most recently Halloween, are just a few titles that delivered big this year on profits.
Also, the other thing, if you think about it, the trend more towards viewing movies in your home because you got the giant TV and sound system. Like, the only two genres that it's worth really going to the theater for a lot of people are the ones where audience participation matters.
Yep.
So it'd be comedies, horror movies, and then just big budget blockbusters that you want
Yeah,
to see
Transformers,
on a
action.
giant screen.
Yeah.
But like dramas and rom-coms, like everyone's just waiting for those to come out on video.
So yeah, good news for us because, you know, Blumhouse putting out a bunch of good shit. A24 putting out a ton of good stuff. And they're doing it with, you know, by encouraging small independent filmmakers, giving them, you know, small budgets, and then just giving them autonomy to create whatever they want. So yeah, encouraging for us and, you know, the niche that we've decided to target.
Speaking of A24, I did have one news item.
Yeah.
They're releasing Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary. Next summer, they're going to release another one of his movies that's around cults,
Baby. Oh,
which will be great.
pagan cult film. Oh man, I'm just drooling already. That Hereditary, right up my alley.
Yeah,
We got to release that episode here shortly. We got to give that as like,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so do you got anything else?
No.
So with that, I think we will say thank you to our audience for listening to us. Go and watch this weekend or over Halloween tonight as you listen to us. You know, rent Halloween on Amazon or subscribe to Shudder. Watch it and have a good time. As always, share us with a friend if you're so inclined.
Yeah. And if you're not inclined.
And if you're not
this
inclined,
is very important to us
yeah.
because the only way that this is really going to grow is if people that stumbled upon us and think we're even slightly amusing shares it with other people
yeah,
that might find it slightly amusing.
or useful.
Just we need to build up that base,
Yeah.
and we appreciate all you listeners that tune in every week. And yeah, just share it with your friends. Post it on Facebook. Retweet us on Twitter.
Yeah, and if you'd really like to help us out, you can leave us some feedback by taking our audience survey on our website. That's horrormovietalk.com. We're currently surveying our listeners to learn more about you. So, please take a few minutes and fill it out. It's right on the top navigation bar. So just click on it and take the listener survey. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a very happy Halloween. And we love you very much.
I love you.
Bye.
As long as you share our podcast.
Bye.
Bye.